No American can ever again take for granted his or her freedom.
This is the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the Alice Stewart Show, 6:06 on a very, very interesting news morning here in Arkansas and across the country and now across the globe. That video of the beheading of journalist Steven Sotloff, now we understand it is authentic and it is awful. The White House has confirmed that internet video showing the beheading of Sotloff is real. And now the president is in Estonia and making comments about this. Here is the president as he confirms the authenticity of this video.
The bottom line is this. Our objective is clear, and that is to degrade and destroy ISIL so that it's no longer a threat, not just to Iraq, but also to the region and to the United States.
Well, he has finally acknowledged that ISIL is a threat. Here to talk more about this, I'm joined with Pete Hegseth. He is the CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. He joins us with his reaction. Pete, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you joining us. And your thoughts, first off, the big news is that the White House has acknowledged that this video is actually the beheading of Steven Sotloff. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously a horrific event, indicative of the nature of this enemy. It reminds us of what we face. The president used the words degrade and destroy ISIS. And I don't know that I've heard the president say the word destroy ISIS. He's talked very narrowly about protecting American interests and humanitarian aid. But this is a war that's been declared on us. It's been ongoing, obviously, for quite some time. This president has been, obviously, as everyone knows, devoid of a strategy because he wants to sort of cover his eyes and hope that it's going to go away. But acts like this shake the American consciousness, the world's consciousness, as we've seen someone like David Cameron come forward so strenuously in support of a more robust mission in Iraq. So this is just going to clarify the terms even more starkly. And if the president starts to talk more firmly about it, that's a good thing. And
as you know, Pete, that just a few months ago, the president was referring to ISIS as the JV. Now they have continued their acts of terror and violence, and there are new reports out that President Obama had been given detailed intelligence on the rise of ISIS by his military officials in his daily briefings as far back as a year. So he has known about this for a year. Your thoughts?
Yes, it's very foolish for him to have described them as JV. That means he wasn't reading his reports very closely. And I've been as ferocious a critic of the president as anyone, but I will grant this. There's no doubt that before June or even before May of this year, there was uncertainty about how strong ISIS would be because ISIS was in an open civil war with al-Nusra Front, which is the al-Qaeda element in Syria. So you had al-Qaeda fighting the Islamic State because the Islamic State was trying to declare more territory and partner with them, and it wasn't that dog wasn't going to hunt. So they were going at each other, and it wasn't clear who was going to emerge. But in late May, early June, as ISIS pushed into Iraq and had been the clear winner of that internal fight, alarm bells should have gone off immediately. But still then, this administration refused to acknowledge it. Now we're at the point where literally heads are rolling. They control an state the size of Jordan, threatening neighbors, and we're still in development of a strategy.
And Pete, the question now is what next? We know that in this video, Sotloff had made a statement completely, understandably, under duress, blaming President Obama for his foreign policy of intervention in Iraq. And as to the reason behind this beheading, here's a statement from the president just a short time ago in Estonia on what the United States will do in terms of taking action. I wanted to get your thoughts.
The United States will continue to lead a regional and international effort against the kind of barbaric and ultimately empty vision that ISIL represents. And that's going to take some time, but we're going to get it done. I'm very confident of it.
Pete, how can he say the United States will continue to lead? We've been leading from behind.
We haven't been leading. That's the problem. What he knows, though, is any diplomatic, economic, sort of political strategy, regional, international. He loves those big, comprehensive words because it makes us sound like we're doing something. any effort like that, the linchpin of that is ultimately going to be the American military. So if we're going to lead, it's going to require, and I don't mean tens of thousands of boots on the ground. I mean our air superiority, our intelligence capabilities, our special operators, our advisors, the ability to partner with local forces. It will require American leadership. So that's where folks like us need to sort of continue to articulate and talk about this. First of all, leading from behind doesn't work. And if we're going to lead and really want an outcome that's going to be the degrading and destroying of ISIS, it's going to have to require American military leadership. And we'll see if at any point here he heeds to his generals, who we know behind the scenes are chopping at the bit to take on a ferocious enemy more directly, that can only be degraded and defeated through American military might. Because guess what, Alice? There is no other military in the world that's capable of projecting and deploying and impacting the way we are. It's us or it's nobody. And hopefully events like this wake the president up to that reality and into some action.
And one last question, Pete Hegseth, CEO of Concerned Vets for America. Pete, he has called this morning on the international community to join in the effort against ISIL. Is the international community going to jump on board with us in this effort?
No, if we lead and if we provide clarity in that leadership, we may see allies join us. I can't stand this phrase, international community. Now, where are those allied with us who share our interests in stability in the Middle East, who articulate a vision of a free world that needs to be protected, ought stand beside us, but they're waiting to find out what we're going to do. The UK, Australia, New Zealand, countries like Canada, countries like that have in the past been willing to work with us. And then regional, those in the region that are interested as well, like the Kurdish Peshmerga forces and others, obviously are going to be part of this solution. So that community, which is a sort of a fictitious entity that he likes to appeal to, doesn't come together until we lead.
All right. Well, let's pray that happens sooner rather than later. Pete Hegseth,
right.
CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. Pete, thank you.
Thanks, Al.
We appreciate you. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Colonel Ken Allard, he is a national security consultant and commentator. He will also weigh in on this. And comparing and contrasting the messaging of the Obama administration in terms of how big a threat ISIS is and what kind of reaction there should be, and also the comparison of President Obama's response to this terror threat with David Cameron, the British Prime Minister. Are we doing enough? Also in the program, we'll take a look at Arkansas state teacher insurance and the retirement plans. Meetings recently held about the retirement of teachers in the state of Arkansas. We'll have all of that and much more coming up on The Alice Stewart Show.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.